How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Cities Skylines. Welcome back to Nerdinborough, where I did ask and you did answer whether or not we should build another sign. And I think it's kind of obvious what the answer was. There were quite a few people that suggested we place a third Nerdinborough sign, and I have to say, I think it looks great. I mentioned last time that I thought it would look pretty cool having this sign right here with the Colossal Order offices in the background. And you know what? I'm quite pleased to say that I think I was right. Okay? I think I'm going to take credit for this. I'm taking all of the credit for this. It was my idea. It was my decision. I built it, which is partially true. So here we are. I am, of course, joking. I did want to know what you guys thought about placing another big old roundabout in here, and I do think it was the right decision. I do genuinely love how this looks with all the high-rise buildings in the background. So good shout. That's what I have to say on that. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the comments, as always. Now, speaking of comments, there was a little comment that I saw that I thought was amazing. There were comments that suggested we add a tram stop in here so as to create a bit of a transport hub for trams and metro. Now, what I've noticed is people are actually already walking back and forth here, which I think is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself a little tram hub because I think that would look really cool. So I'm going to put a little bit of a road there. I'm going to put a little bit of a road there. And that is ever so slightly messing with my, with the old collisions and whatnot, so we're gonna have to go in and fix that. But what this does is it gives me room to just put a little tram stop in there, and I think that would be lovely. So just a little stop right there and a little stop right there, I think is kind of great. The only problem is there's no way for people on this side to like hop up and get over to the other side, and I suppose the trams do come down and turn. Yeah, you know what? We can probably get rid of that stop, and we'll just let people sort of do their thing in terms of getting back and forth. And looking at this, I've got to be honest. I only just noticed that people are actually using this as a bit of a transport hub. So I want to go in and do some detailing here. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I want to do a little something, just a little something, so we can make it look a little nicer. So my thinking is that there is actually a path going under there already. There isn't on this side though. So I want to fix that, and I want to make sure that the lights on the path are facing the right direction. So what I'm going to do to make that happen is have the path go from left to right. And then if I extend this bit and well, no, that's not actually going to let me do what I wanted to do. You know what? We'll just be lazy about it. We'll just use good old move it to grab this section of path. We'll pull it back to about here, and it looks pretty good at the front, so that should be fine. This whole area is relatively flat, so I think what I'm going to do is go in, I'm going to pull out some trees on, well, only that side. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull out a big chunk of trees here, just so I can really see what I'm doing, because it is a little cluttered. You know, it's kind of cluttered. So we have this. It's relatively flat. It's looking pretty good. What I want to get is some pavement, and I want to go in here and just, you know, place a few of these little guys down to make it look a little bit better, a little bit more built up. So the simplest way to do that is going to be to grab these. We'll go in and create ourselves a nice big old line of them. We'll try and get this to be as nicely parallel or perfectly parallel to the tram tracks as we can, which that's pretty good right there. Move them all closer together to about there and shuffle them to this side. And then if I just place them right here with a little bit of leveling, of course, to make it a little bit more perfect, that should cover everything up. So if we go in, we're going to want to grab all of those surfaces, and we're going to want to get them to that height right there, which is, it's not, I've got to be honest, the surfaces aren't working as nicely as they used to for me. They are acting up a little bit, but I think maybe I just pair them with the, okay, maybe pairing them with a little bit of surface painter isn't the way to go here. I don't know what's up with them. Maybe there's some leveling to be done here. Maybe the terrain is the problem instead of whatever else is going on. So let's grab the building. Let's grab some nodes. and let's see what happens if we object height all of them to there. And that actually did, by the looks of it, fix all of my problems. So there we go. Problem solved. We have a lovely paved area right here, which looks fantastic. Now, I do want to do a little bit more of that on the left side, because I think it looks kind of... Well, actually, you know what? If I get rid of you, it is actually kind of a nice straight section, so we're okay with that. And if I get rid of you, it does look better if I do it that way, doesn't it? So I'll tell you what. Let's grab this guy. Let's just place a single one and get it roughly in line with the existing one right about there. And we'll do the same down at this end, because we don't actually really need the paths there, because people are already walking down here, and yeah, they are already walking through, so there's already paths that exist, so I don't need to go too crazy with that. One thing I do want to do is I want to make these grass areas look a little bit better. So if I get some ploppable grass, I want to see, do I have a nice big square? I do. I do have a nice big square of grass. So let's see if I can use this to make these areas look a little better. Because I think I can, and I think it's plain and simple, right? All I need to do is, well, where am I going to do this? I'm gonna use this area as a canvas real quick. So if I just paint in a little bit of concrete, so if I do this, and I go ahead and I put some ploppable grass, well, it's not gonna be level, is it? Oh boy. All right. We're going to have to do a little bit of flattening here just to get this to do what I want it to do. So this needs to be nice and flat, which it hopefully is. This guy goes right in the middle there. It's not perfect, but it's enough. And then all I need to do is use this concrete retaining wall network, create myself a little square, and then move that on top of the existing thing, right? So grab this, move it to like here, and then that should be fine. I can lower it down a little bit to say there. And if I grab that and the surface, copy it, and move it over here, is it gonna do what I want it to do? So other than a mix-up with a few of the buildings, which it happens, it's okay, I would say yes. I would say the little bit of fence and wall around there has made this look a little bit more, it's the same word I'm always using, planted in the area. And I think it looks kind of fantastic. I went back here and did some walls in this space as well. So it just looks like it's all connected together. And the last little thing I want to do is I want to line up with that wall there. I want to bring this over to about there. I'm just going to grab that wall and I'm going to shuffle it to about there. So it just looks like this is kind of like a little enclosed part of the tram track. And I like that a lot. I think it looks really good. It just needs to be leveled at the same height as the rest of them, which it now is. I like that. I think it looks like the tram track is now a part of the metro station, and that's kind of what we want. People hopping out, they're hopping across through there, some of them going into the metro station. Absolutely fantastic. It's such this is why I'm really enjoying taking suggestions from comments. It's something, look, right, we're not going to get into my opinion on YouTube comments over the years, because let's be honest, it changes. All right, sometimes the comments are great. Sometimes, usually when I'm not playing Cities Skylines, the comments get a little, well, they go a certain way. You know, I'll post a video on a game that I'm really excited about, and the first 5 comments are like, well, you know, yeah, where's that next Cities Skylines episode there, fella? Just, you know, just kind of wondering. Big fan, by the way. Oh boy. Anyway, we're not going into it, like I said, but this was such a good little idea, and I'm so happy with what we've got here. It's such a little thing, but it looks so good. Anyway, I've done 1 or 2 other things since the last episode. This feels really late in an episode to be talking about things I've done, but I did this, and I know this looks weird, but it's essentially a bus station, right? If we go in and we look at buses, it does the same job that this thing does. Now, yes, I could have just placed a bus station. That is a thing that I could do. I could place it in this space without having to build any of this monstrosity. But the reason I wanted to build this is because it gives a little bit more space to the buses, and I get a little bit more control with how the buses work. Because what I've done is I've gone in and I've said people can't cross the road in certain spaces, but I've said vehicles can change lanes at an intersection. That's thing number one. Thing number two is that the right lane is always a turning lane. So you'll notice the buses stay on the left side until they get, there we go, he changes and then goes into his stop. So the buses are actually behaving pretty well is what they're doing. And honestly, I want to try a little something here, because I think I could make this better. So this guy would go to that lane, and this guy would also go to that lane, I think. Well, this guy can go there. My thinking is that they never go straight across. So this guy goes to here, but then I'm going to have to say that this lane can go to both of these. This is perhaps a little unnecessary. It's going to be a little more complicated than it needs to be. But my thinking is it means that there's never going to be a bus in the leftmost lane when another bus is coming out into the left lane, right? So the lanes are always sort of crossing over like this, and then traffic coming out of here stays left. I think. I think this is an idea. We'll see if it works. So looking at it, we have this bus coming in. That one changed lane a little bit early there, which was kind of odd. Let's just make sure that my lanes are all set up correctly, which I'm pretty sure they are. So you're right only, that's fine. But essentially what should happen is this guy's going to come out. He's going to go into the left lane. He's going to cross over to the right lane and all the buses coming out should be in the right lane, because it means the left lane is always free for a bus to come out of its stop. That's how I want this to be, and I think it works pretty well. Yes, it's a huge footprint, and yes, it's a little bit ugly, but it does the job that I want it to do. And my thinking is that we essentially just build more stuff around this, because there is more stuff to be built. We still haven't built the government offices, and to be completely honest, I love the idea of just plopping these right here and then copying and pasting it so we have, one on each side, because they're only 960 per week, so I think we can afford that if I do this. Now, obviously, we do have some slight complications with what's going on with the government offices there, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't hate the idea of traffic going through there. It looks weird, but I don't hate it. But I think what I'll do is I am going to just copy and paste this, and we're just going to have more of them. It's a little lazy, I'll be honest. It is a little lazy, but it's a good way to fill up this space, in my opinion. And what I'm also going to do with it is, oh boy, the game. I don't know what the game just did. The game looks a bit weird there for a second. But I'm gonna place them like this, with a gap between them, so I can put some stuff in there. So yes, it's 3 identical buildings, but, well, it's got identical props out the front as well. I'm gonna try and make it look a bit less terrible, and I'm also realizing I am probably gonna have to put them together like that, because I need to move the roads so that they go behind it rather than through it. So this doesn't look terrible. I think this looks okay. The props, a bit weird, but whatever. Let's figure out what I can do with these roads. That's kind of the big thing right now. So we have a node here. Can I build a road in this gap? That's what I would like to know. Can I build a road in that gap? Let's find out. Because what I could do is not that. Let's see. Not you. Not this. I need to go like the tiniest. Ooh, that's what I'm looking for right there. Okay, so if I build this, right? So we turn off. We get rid of all of you. We get rid of all of you. This road is going to need trams on it, but whatever. We'll deal with that in a second. Oh boy. This I don't know what grid I've latched onto here, to be completely honest. And it looks like the best thing I could do would just be this with no zoning up to there. And then this and this. Wow, that actually worked really easily. I'm actually kind of impressed at how easy that was. That's good. Let's get the trams on that. And again, I'm impressed at how easy that was. That felt too easy. I feel like there's a complication about to be thrown at me. The game's just there's gonna be some massive graphical bug or something is about to happen because that was way, way too easy. But looking at it, it looks kind of cool. I've got to be honest. I think that looks really interesting. You got these two roads right next to each other. You got the government buildings. We got space to do stuff either side. And that's going to bring tourists to the area as well. So hopefully the bus stops get a little bit busier. Oh man, this is a miserable looking part of town, actually. It's like a really miserable part of the downtown. It's just this big yard of buses. I feel like a bus station really would just make so much more sense, but I've kind of committed to this stupid idea, so we're kind of living with this. And I guess I can make this look better as well, right? I can put some stuff around it so it looks a bit less terrible. I don't know how I'm necessarily going to do that, but that's going to be my goal, is to figure out how to do it. I'm also going to flatten a bunch of terrain because I think most everything directly around this is gonna have to be kind of flat. So I'm gonna leave the terrain kind of ugly for a little bit while we figure this out. So we have this space. We have no zoning on these roads, which is fine. We can get some zoning on this road because that's okay, and so is that. We don't have zoning on any of these. And to be completely honest, I'm actually kind of thinking I want to move my tram stops. I want to move them to be, well, not where they are right now. So let me just go ahead and, is this okay? This is okay. So delete you and then move this one. Can I put it in like, yeah, I can put it right in the middle there, which seems like a much better spot for it. And then essentially my thinking here is that, well, maybe this should just be an avenue up to at least this spot. So let's very quickly do that. So this is now an avenue. And the reason I want to do that is because I'm almost tempted to say that we're going to bring an avenue up here as well and sort of surround this area with like avenues. But I think we'll stick with the smaller roads just because I think it's going to look a little bit more old town-ish. So we'll go 20 units that way. We'll go 20 units this way. We got a bunch of trees doing tree things, which I'd rather they weren't doing right now. So let me just get in there and delete basically all of these because they're probably not going to be needed. And then essentially, I want to do this. I want to go straight across so we have zoning right up against this thing. And I want to go straight to there so we have zoning right up against it and straight to there. What did I... Oh, I know what I did. Never mind. I realized where my mistake was. Straight to... Wait. Oh my god, is it different sizes? Oh no. Oh no, it's not symmetrical. Wait, what did I do? What is this? 480. 520. Oh my god, my downtown has not been symmetrical this entire time. Have I known that? Is that, I just look to my left like I'm streaming with a chat. I'm not. Is that something I've noticed and pointed out before? The fact that this side is wider than this side? Oh my god. I can't believe I've done this. I'm actually a little upset about that. Cause, yeah, it's just a bit annoying, really. There's no real reason to be upset about it. I'm just a little bit upset about it. But we'll live, I guess. I'm also thinking that I should probably leave a little space in here. So if I was to go in with, and I'm going to use the amusement park path because I think it looks interesting. If I was to go in and do this, that's going to give me some path that kind of, relatively nicely borders the bus, whatever this is. And it's going to create a little bit of separation between the buildings as well. But I can also go in here and say, there's a little bit there you can go up. There's a little bit there. I don't know how well people will be able to get onto that path from the bus thing, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And I think that looks okay. So let's get some zoning in here. I'm thinking it's going to be asymmetrical, and that makes me really annoyed. that genuinely kind of annoys me. I'm not thrilled about this. I'm not thrilled about the fact it's asymmetrical. What buildings have I got? We've got a theater, which it looks all right. We can put the theater up here. We actually could kind of put the theater up here. That would be an interesting use for the space. Having the theater right off the buses. It'd be a bit of a weird one though. I think it needs like a nicer area. We've got this thing, which, I mean, it's going to bring tourists in, I guess, but it should probably be by the water. I feel like we really are running out of buildings. I mean, obviously we have still got things like the clock tower. We've still got things like the courthouse and the tax office, which honestly, again, it probably needs its own little space before we do anything with the courthouse. So we'll design something with that shortly. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go with some normal zoning. I'm just going to go with offices. And I think what we'll do is put them here, and we'll go and do, I think, the same in these spaces too. I'm going to leave these bits open, and technically this bit's supposed to be left open as well. I think I'm going to get rid of this, because as nice as the cathedral was, it just felt, it was very much just slapped in there. So I'm going to fill up these spaces with some offices as well. And I'm going to make this a sort of square corner rather than having that curve going on, because I don't think we need the curve at all. So if we do this, we can grab those nodes and we can sort of slope this thing so it just gets, a little bit better looking. And then essentially we just fill that with some office zoning as well. And we're still going to have a relatively open space for City Hall, for the government offices and all that. It's a little smaller. And it's going to be surrounded by buildings, which I think is going to be a little better. So let's get all that filled up with zoning. Let's go ahead and push some of this terrain back a little bit so it doesn't get too weird. And we can start smoothing some of that to start creating some hills, so we're not just cutting away into cliffs and all that. So let's get a nice big smoothing brush, a very weak smoothing brush, and we'll just do a little something like this. And I think that looks okay. So let's have it build, I suppose. Is it a district? I don't even have a district for City Hall. That's weird. All right, well, I want to see what this looks like. And I want to see if the buses get busier with buildings in here. Yeah, I think putting these buildings in here was the right call. It fills up the space. It gives me a bit less to work with in terms of, decorating City Hall, but it's been long overdue, decorating this space, and I still don't really know what I'm going to put in all of these spaces, so we might as well just use it for some zoning. And most of it is just office zoning. There's a little bit of commercial in here because I wanted to stop massive buildings from sort of having their backs facing this road. I don't mind the backs of buildings facing out this way though, although I don't love that the hedges from this one and that one are on my path. I don't know how I feel about that. But that's fine. This looks about how I wanted it to look. So now what I want to do is make this bus thing look a little bit less terrible. And I think part of doing that is going to be filling a lot of this space with concrete, because I feel like it probably would just be paved. But I also feel like there would be a lot of attention paid to making it look a little more pleasant. So my thinking here is that I want to go in and I want to design two things here. I want to go here, and I want to make like a nice sort of corner thing. So that essentially. And I want to go over here and I want to kind of do the same thing. So if we're looking kind of in line, what are we getting? We're down to about there. So we're down just beneath that crosswalk going like this. So those are now symmetrical, which is great. And essentially what I want to do is fill these spaces with some, I guess, grass, right? So I'm going to go in with ploppable grass, and I'm going to try my best to fill this space with a whole bunch of ploppable grass to make planters, or whatever we want to call these things. Not necessarily planters, but to make an area that looks a little nicer. It's not just absolutely covered in concrete, but it's also not the type of, you know, grass patch that City Skylines likes to do, which is the type that don't have any, you know, proper detailing. So essentially, it's going to be a bunch of tedious placement of grass for a little bit here, but I think it's going to look really good. In fact, what would probably help me out is if I go and I grab these fences, and I go and I grab these fences here, and if I just lower them right down to about that height, yeah, right about there, I make sure everything's even, which it now is. That's going to make my life so much easier, because now I can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, that works so much better, having the really precise grass in there with the curbs and all that stuff. It just makes it feel more official, and it makes it feel more well kept. So now all I need to do is go in and figure out what kind of trees we would have in here. And I'm going to be honest, and it's maybe the boring option, it is probably going to be these little guys, because I think 3 of those, maybe even 4 of those across here, maybe even 5 across here, I think would look pretty good. Just right down the middle of each little bus stop. It's a nice way to divide up the area. I think that's going to be what we do. So 5 of these little guys just in each of these spaces the entire way across is going to give us something that, again, just looks a little bit more designed is the word I'll go for. It looks a little bit more designed, like someone looked at this and went, hey, maybe we should make this area look like something, rather than just being a bunch of roads that happen to exist. That's kind of where I'm at with it anyway. So let's do a little bit of that. And I like that, I've got to be honest. Maybe they're a little too neat, if that's kind of a thing. Maybe they are a little bit too neat, but I think we'll live with the trees being a little bit too neat. Maybe we'll do a little bit of this, and maybe in the middle of this triangle we do this guy. So we have a little bit of color in there, which I think looks really good. And then in the corners, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I'm kind of thinking we go for one that kind of points that way, and a nice big one sort of points that way. So we have a bit of color over there. And I think over here we kind of do the same thing. So we have a little tree pointing that way, and a big old tree pointing that way. And then for the points, I guess we do a little one here, and a little one here, and we'll go and do the same with a little one there and a little one there. And I'm not going to go any further with it. I think that's fine in terms of trees, because anything more is kind of overdoing it. But I think that helps to bring the area together. It looks a little bit more intentionally designed, I suppose is the word we'll go for. Although I do think I want to put some kind of wall just down here, because no one's actually crossing that pavement, so there has to be a reason for that. Obviously, mechanically speaking, the game doesn't have like a little crossing there, but I would like to put something in that is perhaps the reason people aren't crossing from like walking here to walking here. So let's go for... Do I want to go for the wooden fence? I feel like I kind of do. I feel like the wooden fence would look kind of nice in here. So let's see if we can get it to be parallel, which we should absolutely be able to do. If I go ahead and start, say, with a little bit of grid snapping here, we'll just go the entire way across. And then what I'll do is I'll use move it, of course, to go and grab the, not the props, the nodes on that entire section of fence. And it's just gonna be a case of moving this guy up to about this spot and getting it exactly where I'm gonna want it to be, which I think is gonna be right about there. I don't know how central that necessarily is. It looks pretty good. So something like that can act as a divide between the two areas. I know it's maybe a bit weird that that fence exists where it does, but I just want something that's like a clear reason that people aren't, you know, walking from one side to the other, and I think that kind of does the job. I'm also thinking we'll throw a little bit of maybe 1 and 2 of those right there, and maybe do the same thing down at this end as well, just to sort of fill up the space. Doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but that kind of works out. And I actually like how this has turned out. I like that the backs of these buildings are at the bus stop. It's actually really nicely surrounding City Hall, which is what I wanted. So this has turned out exactly how I wanted it to, and that actually makes me really happy. Still don't know what these spaces are going to be, but I don't completely hate this. Maybe these should just be parks. Maybe they should just be parks as a way to bring more people to the area, because we do have more people in the area, for sure, just still not as many as I'd like. And also I need to put some stuff around these buildings because they feel very open right now. They need bollards, they need benches, they need parking lots. They probably don't need parking lots, but these corners definitely need something. So for the northwestern part of City Hall, we have this, which is the official park. Now, what I've done is moved it back from the road a little bit, so it's nice and central in this square. And what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is very, very simply go at this with a couple of decals and some things like that. So what I want to try and do here is surround this thing with the same old retaining wall network that we've been using this entire time. Well, maybe we use curb networks. What would that look like instead? Would curbs be a better option? No, we're going to stick with the concrete retaining wall network. And the reason I'm going to do this is because, plain and simple, I can use this as a curb. And that's something I've been really enjoying doing with this particular network, is using it like a curb, using it as a way to sort of divide two different, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Textures of things. So if I do this with it, yes, you know, it is actually kind of high off the ground. It's not really just actually, you know what? It's not that much. It's not actually as high as the curb itself. So you know what? It's actually okay. But I like using this because what it's going to let me do is, well, what it's going to let me do is realize that this office thing is not central in that square. It should be a little bit more that way, which I think is now central-ish. What I can do with this, though, is if I go and get one of the ploppable things, so if we go for the road texture, which is asphalt or asphalt, however you want to pronounce it, if I use this, and I'm going to have to do some flattening in there because this is actually not really behaving the way I'd want it to, but I can essentially go in and make something that's going to just look a little bit more interesting than it otherwise would. It's going to have a little bit of texture that it wouldn't have had before. So let's very, very quickly hit this with a flattening brush because it is not that right now, and I think it is at this point. So if I go in with this guy, it's still not perfect, but I think I can probably get it to be close, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. So place this guy in that corner. We can slap it over in this corner as well if it wants to behave, which I don't think it really does, but we'll manage. So put it there, and I think about there should be okay. We want to do the same thing on this side, which is actually behaving really nicely. We want to do the same thing on this side, which is also behaving quite nicely. And then we'll just go with a slightly smaller one for here and for here. Right about there should be fine. So if I grab the surfaces, and that's all we want, I want to grab all of these surfaces. I want to level them to that height. Hopefully I can hit this with a smoothing brush, and hopefully I can actually get this to work, because it's slightly annoying that it's misbehaving. But, well, that actually looks like it's working, aside from this bit. And I'm not 100% sure why, but I'm wondering, is it the road? Is the road giving us trouble? The road is absolutely giving us trouble, I want to say. It looks like it's the road, and it looks like it's probably going to be this guy as well if I go to other and grab you. Oh yeah, there we go. Tiny little adjustment fixed it. We can bring the road back up to a good reasonable height. And that just looks different. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a different texture. It makes it look a little more standout from a distance. It looks like it's more of a plaza rather than just like a tiny little plaza within an open space. So let's do a little bit more detailing here, and let's consider this corner done. And there we go. I think this looks pretty good for a plaza. It's going to bring people into the area. It's modern art in what is otherwise an old town kind of area. So I think that's pretty solid for that corner. I'm going to leave this one blank because I really wasn't planning on spending all day today just doing this part of town, because I feel like I remember at the end of the last episode, I mentioned I was going to do a little something with this high school, and I haven't gone near it. In fact, I mentioned that I was going to do a lot of the intricate detailing in this district, and I haven't really gone near it because I sat down today and I was like, right, I'm going to build this sign really quick because it's just a copy and paste, and that'll be the intro for the episode. And then, you know, talk about the comments and talk about the fact that someone suggested building a little tram stop over here. And then I realized that over here had this beautiful little thing going on. So I was like, all right, well, that's going to be the focus for a minute because this is kind of cool. And then I looked at this and I built this and I wanted to show it off, and I've gotten slightly sidetracked from what I wanted to do today. And I feel like it would be weird to sit down and start, you know, heavily detailing this entire area because we've just done all of this. And I like how this has turned out. I think this is pretty good. I think it needs still a little bit of work. Obviously, this corner needs some stuff, and then we just expand, because I did buy this tile. I'm going to buy the other two and the other sides as well. But I think we're good for today, because I want to keep the high school detailing and all of this kind of space being filled in. I want to keep that as its own thing. I don't want to just sort of strap it onto the episode that we have going here already. So I like this. I think this has actually turned out okay. Again, still some work to be done, but that is something that we can do and that we can get done in the next episode and the episode after that and the episode after that. There's no rush, basically, is what I'm getting at. So what I'm also getting at is thank you very much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. If you have any feedback whatsoever, do leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.